My name is Jackie, and I had the opportunity to lead Oklahoma City Schools' first virtual school, and I learned a lot this year, so I'm going to share with you tonight the truth about virtual schools, the good, the bad, and the future. Virtual schools are a hot topic now, and for good reason. Many of our classrooms haven't changed much since the Industrial Revolution, so that's why all of us can still relate to a black and white photo of a mid-century classroom. But the context around our classrooms is changing. The children born today are surrounded by a constant stream of information. Laptops, cell phones, for every problem, there's an app for that. Our society is changing rapidly, and in many cases, our schools are not keeping the pace. So virtual schools then seem like a win-win situation. We have all the technology of today kind of integrated into the classroom environments for our students. There's such a win-win situation that virtual schools are booming. Over 55% of districts in our country have full-time schools. Between 200 and 250,000 students are taking all of their courses online, and virtual schools are making millions of dollars in revenue each year. So, if so many students are taking all of these classes and so much money is going to virtual schools, it's important to know a little bit about them. So I'm going to start tonight with the good. First, we know that not all students fit into the traditional school box. Many students, like many of us, prefer to learn anywhere but a classroom, whether it's a quiet room at home or whether it's while listening to music at a coffee shop, but virtual schools allow that flexibility for the learning. Also, we know that students work at different speeds. We all remember that one student in school who finished all their work in 0.7 seconds, shot their hand up and shouted, "I'm done," before anybody else had their name on their paper. Well, virtual schools allow students to work at their own pace. Also in virtual schools, students have access to more courses. Now, a brick and mortar school might not be able to offer stats or Japanese 4 because they don't have enough students who want to take the class or they don't have a teacher to teach it, but virtual schools can pool their resources and offer an expanded course list. Also, virtual schools teach 21st century skills. Their structure inherently turns our students into digital citizens. They learn information fluency, and also they can communicate and collaborate using various forms of media. However, virtual schools are not all sparkles and kittens. There are some bad aspects of virtual schools, what I like to call virtual schools, no. Independent research has shown that virtual schools actually score lower on almost every measure of student achievement than their brick-and-mortar counterparts. In fact, only 27.7% of K-12 Inc. schools scored high enough to meet adequate yearly progress, and this is compared to about 50% of traditional schools. And then in Oklahoma, for the two virtual schools that got a report card, one scored a D and one scored an F, but significant is that both of them scored, one scored a D, one scored a C, but they both scored an F for growth in the bottom 25% of students. And this is due, of course, that the data, the legislation, the district policy is racing to keep up with the growth of virtual schools, which brings us to our last bad aspect, which is virtual schools are not for every student. They're not the silver bullet of education reform that some TV commercials and companies want you to believe. So sometimes states and districts unknowingly have implemented the virtual schools in a way that isn't most effective for students. So what is in the future? What does the future hold for virtual schools and for education in general? Well, I can say with a fair amount of certainty that virtual schools are not going anywhere anytime soon. They have staked their claim in the land of education. They have a flag. One, because there are a lot of really good aspects of virtual schools, which I've shared with you, and let's be honest, there's a lot of money to be made. But the research does show that virtual schools do have a place. What the research says is if you take all the really great things about brick and mortar schools and all the really good things about virtual schools and you kind of mix those together, you can make a great comprehensive program for our students. The future also holds for virtual schools a changing landscape of accountability. We're already seeing that states and districts are kind of reining in the lax regulation on virtual schools so that we can ensure good performance for all of our students. So So virtual learning is going to be a key to the education in the future. Through this, we're going to be able to change our classroom to meet the needs of our students. We're going to be able to improve instruction in all of our classrooms. And we're also going to teach our students how to communicate and navigate through our digital world.